happy to see you all just really taking ownership of your career and your desire to really figure out what you want to do. I am in healthcare, but not on purpose. And so I just was asked to kind of share with you a little bit about what I know from where it is that I'm at. So like I mentioned, so I'll go, my story real quick. Went to Grant High School. I was the Rose Festival Princess that year that I graduated back in 2004. So 1,000 years ago. But I was really adamant about leaving Portland because it's cool, but it's Portland. So I decided to go to a historically Black college. I went to Hampton University in Virginia, had a wonderful experience there for 4 years, and then I returned to Portland. I came back home and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I just started working somewhere and, just ended up taking a path of higher education. So I ended up working for a career college, which allowed me to be able to help students get their internships in the medical field. So I don't believe the school exists anymore, but it was called Everest College, but it was a career college for students who wanted to, become medical assistants. And I was like, that's cool. Like, good for you. All right. So my job was to be able to help those students to focus on their professionalism, for them to be able to learn the tips and the tricks to be able to find the internship or the externship that they needed to be able to get their clinical hours. While I was working there, I realized that I was like, I'm good at this. And what this is just helping people to figure out what their dreams are, what their goals are. So helping one of my favorite stories was, Tanya, who was working at Burgerville and she really wanted to be a nurse. And so I was able to help her transition from Burgerville to working in the medical field. So I really enjoy that, that kind of work, and then have the opportunity to interview for a position at Kaiser Permanente, and I did not get the job. Right? I did not get the job, and I started working somewhere else. And then I got a call a year later from that manager that did not hire me. And she said, I need you on my team now. Like, will you come work for me? And I said, okay. So I went through the interview process, and I ended up becoming the diverse talent planning associate in the integrated talent planning department at Kaiser Permanente. So all those long words. And what I got to do was create the Kaiser Permanente Youth Exploration Academy in Healthcare. And so now I teach people, the tools of the trade to be able to make sure they can keep their job once they get one. And so I was asked just to kind of share with you all just a few things you might want to keep in mind. So what I think about most often when it comes to what I think young people especially should know about jobs, like your first job, your volunteer job, any job, is to take it seriously. That it's super important to think about everything that you learn, whether it be like, why do I always have to be the one to take out the trash? And why am I the one who's always licking the envelopes, if that's still legal? I don't know. But whatever it is that you're doing, is that you do it to the best of your ability, because there are always people watching you, and there are always people who say, you know what, there's something about V, just the way that V comes into that room and does the job. I've got an extra assignment for V. And so I want to encourage you all to think about, no matter what job it is that you take on, because it's not going to be nursing right away, right? I'm sure you're going to have a job before you get to, being the superstar nurse of the year, right? But whatever job that is, think about how that can play into what you want to do later. When we hire nurses, when we hire anybody, we are not just concerned with their technical skills. I could train you how to do however you probably learn how to do a blood draw is probably not how Kaiser Permanente wants you to do it anyway, right? So we will retrain you how to do that thing. What we want to know is about your bedside manner. So what I mean by that is when Litsy is so sad because, something's happening with her, with her mom or with her dad, are you going to be able to console Litsy? Are you going to be able to speak kindly? And when she's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And super crazy, are you going to be able to calm her down and help to explain to her, not in technical terms, what you're doing, but in simple layman's terms, regular words to help provide comfort? And so I want you to think about that. How are you using your words even now to be able to explain things to people? And so a really good, like, trick to that is like, when I'm studying my books, like, let me go explain that to somebody who has nothing to do with healthcare. Like, let me talk to my friend who's like interested in like, automotive repair, or let me tell my friend who's interested in like music, like, let me explain this to you. Does this make sense? So start practicing that. Start practicing how to explain really complicated things to people in very simple ways. We love that. Another thing that you might want to think about is doing something called informational interviews. So maybe you saw like Grey's Anatomy, you're like, oh, that looks awesome. Like, whatever your reasoning is for why you came to what you want to do, find a way to go ask someone who does that work, what is it really like to do that? I literally sent an email to like a team of people yesterday, like encouraging them to like, oh, apply for these jobs. Like, they're so great. And I was like, please keep in mind that all job titles don't sound sexy. Like, I'm sorry, I just said sexy. But like, it's like sometimes we think we like something because we saw something about it that we were like, oh yeah, that could be cool. Or I don't like that because it sounds weird. But start asking questions to be able to find out. It's like, oh wow, like I had no idea that there was something this specific, right? Like, oh wow, because not only are there, pediatric nurses, yes, there are, neonatal intensive care nurses, but there's also oncology intensive care, baby nurses. I don't know how technical that just was, but there are so many specialties and so many combinations that it's a really good idea to, if you can, to ask questions of like live people who do the work. But if you don't know any, not just to watch TV shows, but go on YouTube and see if there are actual nurses who do the job, not actors, but people who do the jobs, who have different types of videos or blogs, or we follow all kinds of people on social, but are you following people that are career focused, not just like the beauty influencers and like, the fun people who only eat vegan, like whatever, those are all your social things, but who are your professional people that you're following? And the last thing I'll say this, because it's just like so many words for no reason, but like, is just to think about the fact that like and I believe, Deb said it, that like your first job is not going to be your last job. While there are some people that do make a career out of doing the same thing, they might change geography. So they might go like, I might be a nerd, like a midwifery nurse or whatever, like forever, but I might live in like 7 different states before I like land in my thing. I might have 7 different roles before, in one department before I land on my thing. And so I just want you to just think about that one thing that you choose does not have to be final for you. And all that we want, and this is the last thing that I'll say, at Kaiser Permanente or anywhere, is people who want to be there, not just for the job, but for the mission of that company. We need nurses everywhere. Like Legacy needs them, OHSU needs them, I need them, you need, like, we need nurses everywhere. But the mission at Kaiser Permanente is different than that at Legacy, is different than that at Providence. And so what you want to do is start researching that part too, not just the job that I want to do, but where do I want to do it? Because I can promise you that when you find the place that you want to do what you love, you stop working and you start giving yourself fully to the experience, because you found a place that feels like home. And so I wish you all the best on that quest for yourselves. And if you need me, shout me a holler. I'm happy to be able to support you all in any way that I can. So I'll type in my contact info for you all, and look forward to you all taking care of me one day, since I'm so old. So it might be sooner than later, but I don't know. We'll see. But thank you so much for your time. And if I can do anything for you, please let me know. So thank you so much.